You know it's this. Take a perk and a talk of that shit. Money swallowed like sis. Did it perfect in the kid. Got a billion who sang on my head. Look up the better. Put on the road I just spent. I know we got $1 million. The devil that shit ain't not cheaper again.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to MangaMuse. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the third part of What If Naruto Enters Mega Man? Special note, this fanfic is written and a masterpiece of Hussbek on FANFICTIONnet. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. Naruto was currently jumping along the thatched roofs of the huts as he searches for the second half of the moon tablet to advance to the next stage. However, he couldn't help but wonder about the explosion that he saw no sooner he crossed over the wall into the castle town. It must have been one of the competitors, goes to show how powerful they are. So you better be ready should you encounter them, said Kurama. Roger that, Kurama, thought Naruto. He heard the clanking of metal and looked down below to see a squad of cyber knights and smirked to himself. He silently landed on the ground and stealthily followed them from behind. Naruto was right behind one of them and grabbed his selected target right as they went round a corner and pulled it back before stabbing it in the back with the vorpal blade as it dispersed into blue pixels. Next he took to the roofs and went ahead to hide behind a barrel for them to pass. Once they did, he tackled the one at the back into Alleyway and took it down as well. However, it appears like the remaining knights had noticed that their brethren were missing and split into different directions. You need to go after them before they put the whole castle on alert, making it a bit harder to move around, said Kurama. I was thinking the same thing. Shadow clone jutsu, a small group of clones appeared before, head them off before they can sound the alarm. Okay, boss. The clones took off while he ran after the cyber knight he saw last and was leaping through the rooftops once more. Soon he caught up with his quarry by tracing the clanging sound of metal. He created a pair of cyber kunai and threw them to strike the legs, causing the knight to fall to the ground before he leapt off the roof and dove towards the fallen knight with the chakra blade brandished and took it down. He waited for a few moments before feeling memories of his shadow clones flow into his mind. My clones were able to stop them as well. Talk about lucky. Now I can get back to Dash. Suddenly the sounds of bells echoed throughout the area, much to Naruto's surprise and confusion. What? But I stopped the knights from sounding the alert, so what gives? My guess is that someone else was the cause of it. We're running against the clock now. Find the other half of the moon tablet and get out of here before we get overrun. Naruto heard something whistling through the air and dashed to the side before turning around to see another group of cyber knights with some wielding crossbows. They fired a few more bolts at him as he quickly deflected them with his chakra blade. A bit late for that one. I need some fireworks, said Naruto. Got it, mini boom battle chip in, and download. See, Naruto slotted a battle chip into the pet, then a spherical bomb materialized in Naruto's free hand before he threw it at the knight's feet, which then exploded, giving him the opportunity to make his escape. Naruto ran down the winding streets with the knights pursuing him, so he summoned the Orem blade and several handful of shuriken to and fire and throw them respectively to slow them down till they lost sight of him. Naruto found a barrel nearby and quickly dove into it, waiting until the knights ran by before he could poke his head to see if the coast was clear. Heh, kinda takes me back to when I would be chased by the shinobi for my successful pranks, said Naruto with a look of nostalgia. I was always amused to see trained ninjas unable to catch an academy student, making your title of being the most unpredictable to be well earned, said Kurama, but now's not the time for flashbacks. I know, I'm getting a move on. Naruto cautiously wandered through the streets whilst keeping both eyes and ears out for signs of enemies or competitors. He arrived at what appears to be a bazaar, but the stalls were obviously closed, but searched for clues only to find some cyber knights showing up and so quickly behind one of the stalls for a bit until they left. Man, these guys are everywhere, making the search troublesome as it is. He left the bazaar back through one of the narrow streets when he picked a sound. It was a feminine voice whimpering in fear, which was more than enough for him to rush to the source of the sound, in a dark alleyway where he saw cyber knights with their backs to him. Peeking through the gaps, Naruto could make out a black silhouette of someone crouched the corner of the alley. quivering in fear with the knights slowly approaching her much to his growing anger, so he called them out to catch their attention as they turned towards him. I don't know what's going on here, but I do know that ganging up on a girl ain't gonna fly with me. The knights unsheathed their swords and charged towards Naruto, who charged right back at them whilst summoning his Orim blade. He weaved and parried the incoming strikes till he was at the other end of the alley with the mysterious girl looking at his back. The archers reloaded their crossbows and opened fire upon them. Barrier battle chip in, download. See Naruto slotted in a chip for a transparent dome of energy to engulf both Naruto and the girl to deflect the incoming projectiles. Here's a follow-up, shockwave battle chip in, download. A pickaxe materialized in Naruto's hand that he used to strike the ground, sending a wave towards the enemies which knocked them into the air. Naruto took aim with the Orim blade and fired rapidly till they were all dispersed in blue pixels. Naruto let out a sigh of relief as he put away the Orim blade. That takes care of them, they won't bother you anymore. He turned to speak to the girl only to see her gone without a trace. Where did she go? There's only one way out of here. It's quite similar to those two, Alice, but much stealthier, said Kurama. True that. Hey, what's that over there? Naruto saw something sparkling on the floor and slowly approached it before his eyes widened in recognition. Hey, it's the second piece of the moon tablet. She must have left it behind for us. Good to see. I suggest we get out of here before using the moon tablet to return to the academy. Okay, though I kinda wish that she stayed long enough for me to say thank you before leaving. Naruto put both pieces away and leapt to the rooftops and was soon making his way towards the castle gates. Back in the alley, there was a slight distortion before the black silhouette reappeared and looked in the direction the blonde had gone to. That's really nice of him. I hope Miss BB won't be mad at me for wanting to help him. Maybe we can talk the next time we meet, the girl mumbled timidly to herself before fading away from sight. Naruto was flipping and dashing multiple times to avoid the incoming barrage launched by the archers as he jumped along the roofs. Apparently there was a tight security at the castle gates, so Naruto resorted to using his shadow clones to serve as distractions while he made his escape. The young shinobi was running up the castle walls with fired arrows, narrowly missing him until he arrived at the top and flipped over it to dive into the forest. He leapt through the trees before stopping in the middle of a small clearing for a breather. Phew, that was a close one. Now to head back, Naruto took out the pieces of the moon tablet and was about to put them together when there was a rustle from the bushes behind. He sharply turned around with a pair of cyber kunai in hand as the person walked into the clearing for him to see, only to be surprised. Saber Lily, fancy meeting you here. Saber Lily smiled in return. Same could be said here, though I would venture to guess you're the reason for the uproar in the castle town. Well, not at the beginning, but partway. Naruto became more serious. However, I'm willing to guess that you have a piece of the moon tablet. The White Knight became just as serious. Indeed, and you have a piece as well, so we both know what this means. Yeah, duel for the piece of the moon tablet. Naruto slowly backing to one end of the clearing while Saber Lily walked to the other side. Then a holographic screen of Barret appeared with the same going for C. Naruto at Naruto's side. I certainly hope you and your net Navi would battle us with all of your might, said Bazette. C. Naruto smirked in response. Right back at ya, we're gonna win no matter what, Tebeo. Saber Lily smiled in excitement as she crouched slightly and stretched a hand out for a white glow which faded to reveal a appealing broadsword. Here I come, Maelstrom-san. No holding back, Saber-san. Naruto mirrored her stance while drawing out the chakra blade, then both dashed towards each other and clashed in the middle to mark the beginning of the battle. Both combatants jumped away and faced down each other, waiting for either to make the first move. Naruto was the one to do so as he conjured a handful of cyber shuriken and flung them before dashing close behind them. Saber took a step forward and her sword swished around in a blur to knock them before parrying a horizontal slash from Naruto's chakra blade and retaliated with her own. Naruto hastily backed away, barely getting in the torso, then summoned Orim blade to unleash a salvo of plasma bullets, at the same time flinging the chakra blade like a boomerang. Saber Lily's body emitted a white aura and dashed forward with a loud sonic boom as the aura was actually deflecting the bullets and the chakra blade, much to Naruto's shock, and quickly raised the Orim blade to block. However, he wasn't expecting the impact to be so powerful, to the point that he was sent flying and crashed into a tree trunk. GUH. Feels like I got sent flying by Tsunade-chan's finger flick again, Naruto groaned in pain. He quickly snapped out of it and took to the air just in time to avoid an incoming slash from Saber Lily, which instead felled a tree in place. Naruto landed nearby with the chakra blade returning to him and crossed the middle and index fingers each hand as he called out, "Shadow Clone Jutsu." There was a puff of smoke which cleared away to reveal a small group of clones as they brandished any of the three-bladed weapons and charged at Saber Lily. The White Knight braced for their approach and began dodging or parrying their strikes from different before lashing out with attacks of her own. Most of the clones were able to keep up the pressure but were slowly losing their ground, for Saber Lily's strikes were becoming more critical throughout the battle. Naruto rushed in with an overhead slash only to be blocked but switched to a low sweeping kick, to which Saber Lily avoided by leaping into the air. One of the shadow clones grabbed Naruto by the arm and spun around to use the momentum to throw him towards her. Fire hit battle chip in, download. See, Naruto slotted a chip in for Naruto's free hand to ignite in flames before launching a straight punch. A white aura emitted from one of Saber Lily's gauntlets, which she then used to block the fiery punch and countered with a one-handed slash, but Naruto blocked it with his chakra blade. Then one of the clones jumped into the air next to him and kicked her in the torso to sending her flying away from the original, as both landed back on the ground and squared off with smirks on their faces. "Most impressive, you certainly are strong," said Saber Lily with a smile. Naruto smiled, "Same to you too." "I must agree, but now it's our turn to strike." Stepsword battle chip in, download. Bazette slotted a chip into her pet. Saber Lily's blade glowed white before disappearing from sight. Immediately after, every one of Naruto's shadow clones began disappearing rapidly. Then he himself felt something slice the side of his waist, inflicting great damage. Naruto looked around rapidly in search of his opponent but could only see bursts of dust around him. "Man, she's fast, kinda reminds me of Haku and Bushy Brow's crazy speed, but I gotta find a way to catch her or stop her from moving around," said Naruto. "Hang on, I got something for ya." Anti-DMG and Bronze Fist battle chips in, double download. With another pair of chips inserted, Naruto's body glowed faintly, then got slashed only to disappear in a puff of smoke and reveal a miniature doll of himself. Saber stopped and looked around in confusion. Suddenly the ground underneath her feet burst open for a fist to emerge and slam into her face with an uppercut which launched her into the air before crashing to the ground. Saber Lily rolled back to her feet and retook her stance against her opponent. This blonde net Navi is unlike any she has met before. He has no battle style whatsoever but rather reacts instinctively with unskilled swordsmanship and creates strategies while in the heat of the battle, and his knee top seems to provide him with the tools needed for such plans, almost as if they knew each other's thoughts and intentions like that of twins, which makes them unpredictable. Same could be said for Bazette. At first glance she thought that the two were in over their heads, but now she can see the reason why they have been chosen to participate in the tournament. However, it changes little to accomplish her goal. Recov 80 battle chip in, download. A white pillar of light came over Saber Lily, restoring most of her health before taking out another battle chip and slotted it in air sword battle chip in, download. Wind swirled around Saber Lily's sword to the point that Naruto couldn't see it with the naked eye anymore, causing him to tighten his guard for the incoming attacks. Sure enough, Saber Lily charged at him and unleashed a combo of slashes upon him. Naruto sent away the Aurum blade and unsheathed the Vorpal blade in a reverse grip to parry the strikes, then retaliated with his chakra blade. Wing air. Wind surged from the sword as she swung upwards to launch a powerful gust which sent Naruto flying high into the air before he could react. Naruto righted himself in midair and put away his weapons to summon a shadow clone next to him as he stretched a hand out for the clone to weave his hands around the open palm. Then a blue spiraling sphere took form. The clone grabbed Naruto and spun around before flinging him straight at Saber Lily with the jutsu ready to strike her. Take this, Rasengan. I don't think so. Avalon battle chip in, download. Bazette quickly slotted a battle chip into her pet. Saber Lily stretched out a free hand for something to appear before her. It is a hollowed scabbard made of gold and blue enamel. Naruto was confused at first but lashed out with the intent to break through and strike his target, but no sooner it struck did the scabbard knock him back, with the Rasengan disappearing before breaking up into golden particles and was absorbed into the blade with a golden aura. Saber Lily dashed up to Naruto with the sword raised above her head, Caliban, and unleashed a powerful slash to send him crashing through the trees. Naruto painfully got back to his feet, but could tell that he is seriously damaged from the counterattack. What the heck was that? It somehow absorbed my jutsu before I got hit hard. From what I've observed, that technique serves as a powerful defense which then instantly becomes a counter, said Kurama, sending his chakra through Naruto's body to heal it. Well, this calls for some payback, and I know just how to do it, thought Naruto with a smirk. He crouched slightly before running straight at Saber Lily, all the while flinging shuriken and kunai along the way as he got closer. The White Knight deflected the incoming projectiles with little issue, but can't help and wonder just what this young net Navi is up to. Naruto was soon upon her and lashing out with his cyber kunai in both hands rapidly. Saber Lily channeled energy into her sword again to knock the kunai from his hands, leaving him open for an attack of which she initiated. However, she noticed that the opponent's eyes as if he was smiling, then she realized what's going on. It's a trap, she thought, panicky. Anti-sword battle chip in, download. See, Naruto inserted the chip into the pet. The moment Saber's sword touched Naruto's shoulder, he moved in blurring speeds to unsheath the vorpal blade and slash across her chest to inflict critical damage. Both combatants jumped away and faced each other. That was quite a risky move, which you both pulled off, said BE'ZE, being mildly impressed. You're pretty strong too, but we're gonna win no matter what, Tebeo, said Naruto with a smirk. I too have a wish to be fulfilled, which is why we shall attack with everything we have. The chip's effect on Saber Lily's sword finally wore off as she took a stance with it and her whole body surging with the white aura. It appears she's going full force, suggest you do the same here, Kurama spoke up. Gotcha, good thing I've been reserving this. Naruto unsheathed the chakra blade with the Konoha symbol glowing blue and tapped it for the chakra stored within to surge strongly before preparing for the next clash. The combatants clashed once more and were rapidly attacking each other with ferocity. Naruto slashed several times before performing a backflip and creating a trio of shadow clones to rush in ahead of him as he swung the chakra blade rapidly to launch a barrage of crescent energy waves toward Saber Lily. Said Knight was defending against the clones. She took out the first with a dashing horizontal slash and followed it up with a spinning slash to take out the remaining two which were coming in from different directions. Saber Lily turned to run towards the original in a zigzag pattern to evade some of the crescent waves while deflecting others, and was upon Naruto to engage him in close combat once more. Naruto was getting pushed back from Saber Lily's techniques and lack of training in kenjutsu, but his instincts were at least helping him keep up with his opponent. He ducked under a swipe from Saber's sword and unsheathed the vorpal blade only for him to drop it to the ground, much to Saber's confusion and wariness. What could he be up to, she thought. Can't believe I'm using that BSTRD's trick, hope this works. Naruto lashed out with the chakra elongating to increase his attack range, forcing Saber to leap into the air with him in pursuit. They clashed blades multiple times, then pushed away from the other when Naruto kicked to launch the vorpal blade, much to Saber's surprise, and was barely able to avoid the projectile with its slice cutting a part of her waist. Saber Lily, are you alright? BE'ZE called out to her worriedly. No need to fear, BE'ZE-san, I'm still capable of fighting, Saber Lily replied. Then towards Naruto, an impressive strategy, Maelstrom-san, none would have expected such an attack. Naruto nodded in response, thanks, I borrowed it from a certain friend of mine. I see, what say we end this wonderful duel with our most powerful attacks? Naruto glanced at his chakra blade in contemplation for a few moments before responding, you're on, let's see who comes out on top. Saber nodded in affirmation before taking a stance with the sword pointing skywards as she called out, Sword of Selection, grant me power. Cleave the wicked. The blade began focusing energy to a single point. Naruto gripped the chakra blade with both hands and reared back, gonna give all I got. Caliban. Overslash. Both swung their blades forward to launch a large wave of golden or blue energy which clashed in the middle and struggled for Demps, Naruto and Saber Lily to fuel their respective attacks with their energies. The struggle continued until the opposing attacks ended in a massive explosion which covered about a mile radius. The smoke cleared a bit to reveal a large crater from the explosion's aftermath. A hand burst out from the ground and pulled itself out to reveal Naruto covered in dirt and bruises as he struggled to his feet, then limped across the burnt field to the other side. There he saw Saber Lily in a similar condition with pieces of her armor broken apart and her sword was broken. The White Knight smiled upon seeing the blonde net Navi. It appears that this duel ends in your victory. How so? Asked Naruto. By using the true name of my sword to perform its most powerful attack, it will break, with its restoration requiring a lot of time, and you appear to be capable of continuing battle despite both us suffering similar injuries, not to mention that you also seem to be healing as well, Saber Lily replied. Naruto couldn't say anything in his defense for she was right about most things thanks to Kurama healing him with his chakra as he always did. You're right, but if not for my ability to heal, you would have beaten me, if I didn't use Kurama's chakra, said Naruto with his faceplate deactivating. Even so, a loss is a loss. Both of you are the winners here today, said Bizette with a tone of disappointment in her voice. But you gave it all you got, said Naruto. We appreciate the compliment. Hopefully the next time we meet outside the tournament, things might change, said Saber Lily. Same here, only next time it will be much more intense, said Naruto with a foxy grin, causing Saber Lily to feel strange as she looked at him, for he emits the aura of a warrior of gallantry and yet a sunny disposition to attract others around him. Very well then, we hope to see you after the tournament, Maelstrom Dano. Saber Lily's was engulfed in a pillar of white light before disappearing along with it, leaving Naruto alone in the crater. Her kenjutsu was quite formidable, wouldn't you agree, Kit? Asked Kurama. Yeah, guess my experience against sword users back in Konoha helped out a bit. She's pretty strong and appealing. Wait, did I just say that out loud? Naruto blushed at what he said. Ha 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 ha. That you did, and here I thought you swung for the other team. Turns out that you're more of a late bloomer, it's only a matter of time before the Toad Hermit's perversion completely takes over. Kurama laughed out loud. Shut up, I'll never be a second pervy sage. Let's just head back to the academy. With a red tint on his cheeks, Naruto took out the 2 pieces of the moon tablet and clicked them together to activate the portal for him to step into and was transported to the entrance of the Sakura Labyrinth. He barely took a step when he heard 2 voices gasp from his left and turned to see Nero and Tamamo looking at him with shock. The fox girl immediately ran over and started examining him all over while the red swords woman walked to them. Maelstrom, what happened for you to end up like this? Asked Tamamo worriedly. I ended up fighting against Saber Lily in the forest area of the second stage, Naruto explained. Judging from your appearance, she was a formidable opponent, said Nero, getting a nod of affirmation from the blonde. Save the storytelling for later, we need to get you to the infirmary for Sakura-san to heal you. Tamamo began jostling Naruto to the school with Nero following them looking amused and a bit worried about him as well. They eventually arrived at the infirmary, where Sakura was about to greet them but was taken aback upon seeing Naruto's condition. She quickly had him lay down on the cot, activating the regenerator to heal him even though he had almost fully recovered along with his armor being fully repaired as well. Your health has been fully restored, Maelstrom-san, said Sakura, getting sighs of relief from Tamamo and a nod of approval from Nero. What sort of battle did you have to end up this way? Maelstrom-kun was fighting against Saber Lily, and managed to win in the end, said Tamamo happily. But it just goes to show how this tournament's difficulty rises. I also heard from that arrogant Gilgamesh that he had also defeated Lancer as well, said Nero. Naruto sat up from the cot with his eyes wide in shock. Lancer lost. Yeah, now it's down to the 6 of us remaining, said Tamamo. I wish to warn you all that from the 4th stage onwards, Gate Guardians will begin to appear and you would have to defeat them in order to proceed, said Sakura worriedly. Gate Guardians? Asked Naruto confusedly. They're known to serve directly under BB and are one of the strongest in the tournament. Many that went up against any of them would be defeated, only a few others well fortunate to avoid them all entirely to reach the moon cell for their wishes to be granted. They sound pretty scary, said the fox girl worriedly. Apparently there are opponents whom one must tread lightly with, said Nero looking thoughtful. Think we would be able to handle them, thought Naruto. It only depends if we run into them to begin with. It would be interesting to see exactly powerful they are, Kurama responded. Good point. Naruto turned to the others. I guess we'll just have to wait and see then. You may have recovered, but I advise that you rest in your room for the rest of the day, said Sakura rather sternly, reminding Naruto of when Shizune would stand in for Tsunade when healing him. So Naruto nodded to her while smiling fondly, yes ma'am, causing Sakura to smile as well, but Tamamo and Nero glared at her a bit. Naruto got to his feet and was leaving when Tamamo offered to SCRT him, but he politely refused, saying that he could manage on his own, much to her hidden disappointment. Naruto had just gone down to the second floor when suddenly he was surrounded by two familiar people. We found you, said both Alice from the front and back simultaneously. It's you too. Naruto gazed at both of them warily. With what happened last time, he needs to be cautious and try to find away their distorted mindset. Why were you sneaking around like that? Asked Black Alice. Hey, let's play. We've even made up a new game. That's right, this time there won't be some stupid grinning cat to help you out, said Alice happily. Promise that you'll come and play. Then she ran off down the hallway. Another deadly game, I'll bet, thought Naruto. Black Alice giggled at him. Remember, you promised. She followed after the other Alice afterwards. Naruto let out a sigh of resignation. I might as well go after them. You do know that their games could kill us if we're not careful, said Kurama. I know, but they're gonna keep pestering us with more until I put my foot down, once and for all. Good to know. They're probably waiting in the forest of stage 1. I'll be heading there now. Hope the others won't get mad about not resting. Naruto went down the stairs and out of the school till he arrived at the entrance of the Sakura Labyrinth. He willed the gate to transfer him to the first stage and passed to enter the forested area. He ran through the trees towards the small clearing where he had first met Alice, and sure enough, they were there waiting for him. Alice perked up upon seeing him. I knew that you would want to come and play with us. You're the nicest, mister, said Black Alice. Sure, but I wish to talk to you after this is over, said Naruto. Okay, but first it's playtime. Alice will create a brand new playground in just a second. Alice started to perform some sort of sequences of poses with Black Alice in perfect sync. Birds are just birds here. Black Alice followed next. People are just people here. Welcome to Alice's tea party. Just Alice spoke, the entire atmosphere suddenly changed and a multicolored mist fell over the forest around them. Naruto looked around in confusion. What is this? Careful kid, their technique seems to alter the reality around you, said Kurama in alert. At Alice's tea party, no one can remember their names. Not even Yamada or Suzuki. You won't be able to remember anybody's names. You'll see in a minute, mister, said Alice with a smile. Nuh-uh, it goes like this. First you forget your name and then you forget who you are and then, the end. And you won't have to waste time in that silly tournament, said Black Alice. Isn't it fun? Not in the least bit, thought Naruto angrily. Alright, let's all play tag now. You're it, mister, said Black Alice. Are you ready? Ready, set, go. Then both of the girls ran into the forest to start the game. Time is against you, catch them before you lost your memories, said Kurama. Already on it. Naruto took off after them. He weaved around the trees while keeping an eye out for the girls until he found them running along the path. There they are. The two Alice saw him and continued to run, all the while giggling at him. Naruto took to leaping along the tree branches and quickly caught up with them. He was just about to grab one of them when Black Alice suddenly turned around and fired an energy sphere which caught him off guard to knock him back. Nice try, but I'm not going to let you get away. The blonde ninja got back to his feet and was in pursuit once more. They ran around the trees for a few moments until Naruto put on a burst of speed to leap right over their heads and landed in the Alice's path to stop them. Alright you two, the game's over, said Naruto. Black Alice giggled. I got caught. Wow, you're really fast and can jump high, mister. Alice looked at Naruto in awe. But he can't probably remember his name anymore. You can't remember your name, can you, mister? Naruto quirked an eyebrow at the question. Of course I can remember my name. My name is. What is my name? he tried to remember but was coming up with blank results and can't even remember their names either. Dash. Stay focused, don't let them get the best of you or it's over, said Kurama. Oh okay Fox-san. Damn it, it's getting worse. You gotta catch us, or your body will go bye-bye next, said Alice, then Black Alice then waved her hand which caused them to disappear. Elsewhere. Naruto went after them again. Black Alice launched more energy spheres at him but he would use the Vorpal blade to deflect the incoming projectiles as he drew closer to them. Naruto created several shadow clones to corner them to a large redwood tree so they wouldn't run anywhere. I got you now, said Naruto. Alice looked intimidated. Mister, why are you being so scary? Are you mad at me? Black Alice was giggling. Why are you mad? Oh, is it 'cause your body is going bye-bye? Naruto raised his hands in front of him and was stunned to see them being transparent, which meant that his entire body is in the same condition. Stop this, it isn't fun at all, shouted Naruto. I'm scared, why is he so mad? Alice looked fearful at Naruto's anger. I dunno Alice, we're only playing. Black Alice again teleported them away and were on the run again from Naruto for the second time. You don't have much time left dash. Hurry up and catch them. I'll even channel my chakra to make it quick, said Kurama. Okay Fox-san. Naruto felt a sudden surge of energy flow through his energy, he crouched low then shot off like a bullet and instantly caught up with the young duo. Enough is enough. Alice looked at Naruto with tears brimming in her eyes. Why are you so mad? Sniffle, I just wanted to play. That's because you're hurting me with this game of yours, said Naruto. Then perhaps we've overestimated how good you are at playing our games, Black Alice scoffed at the blonde. I'm hurting you? Asked Alice confusedly. Naruto nodded in affirmation. As the time went, I wasn't just forgetting my name but I began to forget other things which were really important to me. My heart began to hurt badly, it is crying out to me, telling me that I'm missing a part of myself that truly makes me who I am. I felt something all too familiar and I'm sure you know it. The feeling of loneliness. Alice gazed into Naruto's eyes and let out a gasp upon seeing the light in them which she personally liked slowing dimming. He's just like me in a way. But do you know what the worst thing is? I also forgot the name of the person whom I promised to play with, and it hurts just as much, because it makes me feel like I failed to keep my promise to them. Naruto looked down at the ground sadly. Tears flowed out down Alice's cheeks. She didn't want this, she just wanted to have fun with her new friend and yet she is hurting him with her games. She was about to speak up but Black Alice beat her to it. But the game still goes on and it doesn't end until you beat it, so can you remember your name yet? Even though you're almost out of time, like Black Alice said, Naruto is just about to fade away entirely, when suddenly unbeknownst to them, a white orb of light emerged from Naruto's back and touched the back of his head. Naruto suddenly felt a certain memory flow into his mind where he saw himself hiding behind a tree with a large scroll in his hands and nearby were two men with one lying down wounded and the other poised to kill him. Naruto wasn't able to hear them speak, then he heard the wounded man speak with great clarity. That is how beasts are, but that is not who Na is. Ruo is one of a kind, works hard and puts his whole heart into it. Sure, he messes up sometimes and everyone jumps on him, but his suffering only makes him stronger. That's what separates him from being a beast. So you're wrong, he's nothing like the nine-tailed fox. He is not a Uzumaki of the village hidden in the leaves, the wounded man declared before the memory faded away. Naruto slowly reached to his forehead and untied the headband to look at the symbol into the metal plate. I remember, he was truly the first to acknowledge me for who I really am. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. With his declaration, the atmosphere shattered like glass with the forest returning to normal and he could remember everything now. That was a close one, kid, said Kurama. Sorry about that, Kurama, thought Naruto apologetically as he retied the headband back on, getting a grunt in return. Black Alice took a step back in shock of what just happened, with Alice feeling the same along with the sense of relief. You were able to dispel the nameless forest. Naruto slowly approached them. Alice-chan, I can understand why you do this to avoid the hurt that you felt in the past. But you must understand that not everything is a game and that one must face reality to see a lot of things. Black Alice stood in the way with a frown on her face. Alice doesn't need to stop playing games, she's managing just fine and I'm her one and only friend. That won't change the fact that she still feels loneliness, you can't do it alone. Let others in to broaden her horizons in reality. No. They hurt Alice and I won't let them do it again, I'm going to make you go away, forever. Black Alice took a fighting stance. Naruto frowned at this before taking a stance of his own. Then I have no other choice than to make you see that what you're doing is a mistake, cause I want to help Alice-chan. Black Alice started off by rapidly firing a barrage of energy spheres at him. Naruto darted from left to right whilst using the chakra blade to deflect those he couldn't evade in time till he was upon her and lashed out a punch. Black Alice parried it with a backhand and launched a punch of her own for Naruto to catch it with an open palm, but was surprised at her level of strength when he got knocked back a few feet before skidding to a stop. Whoa, she's strong despite how she looks, said Naruto. Even so, I don't plan on losing here. Shadow Clone Jutsu, he summoned a small group of clones to rush at their target. Black Alice started going through a series of poses. The plains of winter. She moved her hands out to unleash a large gust of cold air which slammed into the clones and encased them in a frozen cocoons. She rushed forward to punch each of them with her fists to shatter into pieces. Then she into the air towards Naruto, ready to engage him in close combat. Naruto parried a punch from her and lashed out with kick only for Black Alice to catch his leg and swung him around to fling him towards a tree. Naruto quickly summoned a shadow clone to grab him by the arm and pull him back with her along before flinging at one of the trees like Black Alice intended. Naruto landed on the tree trunk with his feet then slammed Black Alice to it, then both landed back on the ground. Frenzied March Hare. Black Alice moved her arms forward to launch a powerful blast of wind at Naruto, who looked ready for his next move. Area Steel and Airshot Battle Chips in, double download. See Naruto slotted 2 chips into the pet. Naruto disappeared before the wind made impact and reappeared before Black Alice with his right hand morphed into an arm cannon, then he fired a sphere made out of air to slam into her torso to send her flying. Cyber Shuriken. Naruto conjured a handful of said throwing weapons and launched them at his opponent. Black Alice quickly recovered and raised an energy shield to block the incoming projectiles before retaliating in kind. Naruto created a shadow clone and both dashed together while he summoned the Aurum blade in gun mode to rapidly fire at the incoming fire while his clone working on forming a Rasengan with him. Black Alice's eyes widened in shock and hastily strengthened her energy shield before Naruto lunged with his jutsu with the spiraling sphere grinding against the barrier. Either side struggle with offense and defense while hoping to outlast the other. Suddenly cracks began to appear on Black Alice's shield. Much to her shock, she tried to reinforce the defense, but it was futile as it was shattered and the blue spinning sphere was heading towards her. However, the sphere dissipated at the last minute and an open palm slammed into her gut with sufficient force to send her tumbling backwards, and this time wasn't getting back up. Naruto let out a deep breath and made to approach Black Alice when he heard rapid footsteps run past for him to see Alice reach Black Alice to see if she was okay before looking at Naruto with worry. Please stop, don't hurt Alice anymore. I don't want her to go away. I don't want to be lonely again. Alice cried out. The blonde stared at them and continued with his approach. Alice hugged the other tightly and closed her eyes in anticipation for the forthcoming agony, only to feel a hand on her head. She looked up to see Naruto smiling at her softly. I wasn't intending on doing such a thing, I know full well how much you care for each other. It was just how you went about things that I wasn't okay with it and wanted to correct you, as well as prove something to Black Alice, said Naruto. Said person slowly rose her head to look up at him. What do you mean? That I possess the strength to protect Alice alongside you, so you won't need to bear it alone. And if you let others in to be your friends, the world around you would be much bigger than you thought. Alice looked at the ground, feeling unsure of herself. But what if I start hurting again? I don't know if I can tough it out like Daddy used to tell me. Well, that's why Alice is here for you, to help tough it out so you could be happy. I myself have been lonely ever since I was a baby and struggled for attention, until one truly acknowledged me after I worked hard for it. As time went, more joined in my circle of friends and I couldn't have been happier. But something bad happened and I ended up getting separated from them forever, and the loneliness was returning, but then I found new friends here too but promised myself to never forget the ones before them. Which is why I also want to be your friend and you mine as well, if you both want me to." Naruto held out his hands to each Alice. Will you be with us forever?" asked Alice. Naruto replied with a foxy grin, "Of course I will, and I won't let anyone or anything hurt you, that's a promise of a lifetime." Alice looked from Naruto's hands to his eyes and for some strange reason felt that he really meant to keep that promise for her to be safe, despite what she and Black Alice did to him, he still wants to help them. Alice slowly stretched out her hand and from the corner of her eye saw Black Alice doing the same until both gripped a hand with Naruto beaming happily at them. "Thank you for being our friend, Naruto-niken," said Alice. Naruto quirked an eyebrow both at her calling out his name and a brother until he recalled his proclamation and certainly didn't mind being called that either. "I'm going to rest for a while, please watch over Alice for me, her happiness is also my happiness." As she spoke, Black Alice's body glowed brightly before fading away to reveal a picture book with the title, Alice in Wonderland, lying on the floor much to Naruto's confusion. "What happened to her?" asked Naruto. "It's Alice's real form, but she changed herself to be with me all the time." "This is the first time, Alice changed back," said Alice before scooping up the book into her hands. "I see, well let's head back to my place so we could rest." Naruto held a hand to Alice which she happily took as they walked back towards the exiting portal which Naruto created for them to return to the academy for some rest. Mommy was right, this is how it would feel to have a big brother, thought Alice. With a soft groan, Naruto opened his eyes to find himself laying on the bed in his room. He was about to sit up when he felt certain weight on his left side. He pulled the cloth to reveal Alice with her arms wrapped tightly around his arm as if afraid to let him go, to which he smiled softly upon recalling everything that happened yesterday and how he was able to change her mindset despite almost getting erased from existence. If those two are capable of altering reality around them, makes me wonder who else is able to do the same, said Kurama. Who knows, but we would need to be ready when that time comes, thought Naruto. He gently prodded the sleeping Alice so as to wake her up. Wake up Alice-chan, it's morning now. Alice slowly sat up and let out a cute yawn before looking around and smiled happily upon seeing the blonde. Good morning, Naruto. Good morning to you too, how are you feeling right now and is Alice okay? Asked Naruto. I'm okay. Alice reached under the pillow to bring out the picture book, and I'm sure that Alice is okay too. I'll wake her up now. She closed her eyes in concentration as the book began to glow before levitating away from them before letting out a bright flash of light before fading to reveal Black Alice standing before them. Are you okay, Alice? Asked Naruto with concern for her after the battle they had. I am fully recovered, so there's no need for you to worry, Alice responded, though a small smile graced her lips from how the boy was worried about her, something rather new and yet refreshing for her. That's good to hear, though we need to work on giving you a name of your own. Calling you both Alice is definitely going to confuse me and anyone else, said Naruto thoughtfully. A name for Alice, then what will you call her then? Asked Alice curiously. Let me think of one. Naruto was deep in thought about what name he could call Black Alice when he recalled one when he was browsing through a bookstore back in Konoha in search of the latest comic issue. How about Shirori? It means, poem, where I came from. Shirori, that's a nice name. Don't you think so? Asked Alice happily. I like it, it's really nice. The now named Shirori smiled more brightly now. I'm glad you like it, said Naruto with a smile of his own. That's when he felt the link to the pet come online and the clone called out to him. There's another message concerning the tourney boss. Said Naruto. Got it. Naruto activated the holoscreen with the message icon on it and opened to read the contents carefully before closing it up. Looks like we're going to begin the tourney later in the afternoon. Can we play together before then? Asked Alice hopefully. Sure, maybe a game of hide and seek around the school, said Naruto with a smile, much to the girls' happiness. Later on, Naruto and the girls made their way out of the dormitory and began their game of hide and seek with Naruto being the seeker. The game was rather fun and quite challenging for Naruto as he searches for Alice and Shirori. making him feel as if he was playing against himself as the game went on and couldn't help but feel for those who used to chase him during his pranking days back at Konoha. Naruto was quietly moving around with his senses sharpened to keep an eye out for any sort of irregularities when he detected a slight distortion hidden behind a tree nearby and smirked while thinking that they had exposed their hiding place. He took off at high speed to appear on the branch of a tree close to the other one and stealthily positioned himself on a branch right above the distortion. Grinning mischievously, Naruto jumped off to pounce to grab the unsuspecting Alice. Gotcha, Alice-chan. Kaya, please don't hurt me, a female. Screamed out in fear, causing Naruto to let go and stand back in surprise as the voice sounded rather familiar. He watched as the distortion faded away to reveal someone before him. She is a girl with long flowing purple hair reaching to her back and a pink ribbon on the side of her head. She was in attire consisting of a neck belt, 2 strips of belt covering her large melons, and 3 more over her torso. She also wears what appears to be a striped bloomer with brown pantyhose and a pair of high-heel shoes. What caught Naruto's attention the most was that her face looked similar to that of BB and Sakura, and the arms resembling that of giant talons, which reminds him of Chuji when he uses the partial expansion jutsu on his arms. Another who looks like BB and Sakura, just what's up with that, thought Naruto, though he could barely look away from the size of her melons. Then he snapped back to attention when he saw the girl quivering in fear and went to help her. I'm really sorry about that, I didn't mean to scare you. I thought you were someone else I was playing a game with. The girl stopped shaking and looked back at Naruto, who was looking back at her with concern. You mean you won't hurt me? Naruto quirked an eyebrow at that. Of course not, why would I? The girl sat up with her arms laying side by side. It's just that every time I meet someone, they always end up hurting me when I didn't do anything bad. You mean you've been bullied for no good reason? Point me towards those guys and I'll teach them a lesson, said Naruto angrily. If there's anything he absolutely hates, then it's rapists and bullies regardless of rank. He will smash their heads to the ground. It's okay, they don't bother me anymore afterwards, said the girl in an attempt to calm him down. But it doesn't make it any better. Anyways, my name is Meddy.EXE, said Naruto, making sure not to slip up like last time. It's nice to meet you, my name is Passionlip, said the girl with a shy smile. Well, same here, so what brings you out here? Well, I was walking when I saw you and wanted to introduce myself to you, but I felt hesitant and ended up hiding. Well, that's kinda weird, but I gotta admit that you're pretty good at hiding, like you're a ninja. Passionlip smiled bashfully. Thank you, that's very nice of you to say. Naruto simply gave a fox grin in response. So what's your job? It's pretty obvious you aren't part of tourney since you're not in the roster. I would have to watch out for those arms of yours if you were. Maybe, but I don't really like fighting that much, plus these hands make things a bit difficult to handle without breaking them by mistake. Passionlip looked at her hands sadly. Sounds like a total bummer, but with enough practice I'm sure you can do it, said Naruto assuredly, to which the girl smiled at. Hey Maelstrom, don't forget that the game is still going on, said Naruto. Oh right, I forgot. Naruto shot to his feet and looked apologetically towards Passionlip. Sorry, but I need to go look for someone. Passionlip felt sad inwardly at the blonde leaving, seeing how he was nice to her unlike the others behind him due to her. I understand, but I hope to see you again. Maybe after this next round, I'm sure you hang around here. See ya Passionlip-chan. Naruto waved her goodbye before running off to search for Alice and Shirori. Goodbye, Passionlip spoke softly. It was just like she had thought. He truly was different than all the others that she and the others had met before. His eyes withheld pain and loneliness, but yet there was the sparkle of life which has a stronger presence over the negativity. Everything from his actions to his personality describe him to be someone that appears inattentive but can suddenly become unpredictable to both friends and foes from what they've observed of him from the start of the Grail War, and there's also that red energy which seems to trigger but will, or when in a difficult situation, for it is unseen in any other net Navi. I can only hope that you don't fight me or the others. I don't want you to go away forever. Back with Naruto, he was eventually able to find Alice but not Shirori, who pretty much lorded her victory over the cyber ninja much to his displeasure. He had the girls return to the dorm room to wait for him to get back while promising to play another game with them later on. He was making his way towards the entrance of the Sakura labyrinth when he saw the nun whom he had bumped into on his first day. The woman smiled upon seeing him approach her. "Hello Nun-san, it's been a while," said Naruto with a smile. "Indeed it has Maelstrom-kun, I've been hearing of your progress through the tournament and I must say that I'm impressed." Naruto rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. "Gee thanks, I just try my best is all." "Quite true I must say, though I must warn you that things will become more difficult as you progress. I advise that you exercise great caution especially around the game masters," said the nun seriously. "What do you mean, you're talking about BB right?" asked Naruto curiously. "Yes, she among a few others had been observing you before sending the invite to bring you here for reasons unknown. Perhaps there is something unique about you which they want," said the nun seriously, causing Naruto to flinch inwardly at what she could be implying. Might BB and these game masters be after his chakra and maybe Kurama, which was why they invited him? I'll be sure to keep an eye out for anything weird around me, miss. Please just call me Kiera Session," said the nun with a smile. "Okay, then I need to get going." Naruto walked away with the nun seeing him leave with a smile on her face. "What do you think about all this Kurama?" "She wasn't lying about BB having an interest in us, but I suspect that she isn't telling us everything," said Kurama. "What do you mean?" asked Naruto. "It's like I said before, there's more going on in this tournament than we were allowed to know. We need to be vigilant for anything which might happen." "Roger that," Naruto nodded in affirmation. He eventually arrived at the Sakura tree where the remainder of the contestants were already gathering. Tamamo saw him arriving and happily skipped over to him. "Hiya Maelstrom, are ready for today?" asked the fox girl cheerfully. Naruto smirked back, "You better believe it, ready for anything," causing her to giggle. "I certainly hope you are, Maelstrom-san." "I expect you to be at peak condition," said Nero. Tamamo frowned a bit at her appearance. "Why do you two need to be concerned about a monkey like him? He has nothing to show unlike a superstar like me," said Elizabeth cheekily. "At least he doesn't go insulting everyone like you," said Tamamo angrily. "Humph, he's bound to lose anyway," the gothic girl scoffed at him. Moments later, there was a bright flash of light and BB was standing before the group once more. She took a glance at Naruto and smiled at him, making the blonde feel rather awkward but remained attentive to what she was about to say. "I welcome you all to the third stage of the Moon Cell Tournament and wish to congratulate you for advancing this far," said BB. "It is to be expected of a king such as myself to reach this level with ease. Mongrels could barely keep up with me as it is," said Gilgamesh arrogantly, making everyone frown at him. "This guy is really getting on my nerves here," thought Naruto angrily. "He'll get what's coming to him soon enough," Kurama growled in anger. In this stage, there will be an addition of rules and the remaining competitors will be placed in pairs in a tag team battle. "The rules still apply to the combatants when acquiring the moon tablet pieces," said BB much to the surprise of everyone listening. "Wait a minute, so you're saying that our net Navi will be partnered up with another in this stage? So if both were able to get the complete tablet then they can advance, right?" asked Kuro with a small frown. "I guess that seemed to be the case," Kuro-san said Gil politely. BB nodded in affirmation of the statement. "That is correct. Now I will randomly shuffle the net Navi to be paired for the challenge." She moved out a hand to project holographic portraits of Naruto and the others, then waved to make the portraits mix up several times before spreading out to display the matchups for all to see. "Looks like we're partnering up, Tamamo-chan," said Naruto with a foxy grin. Said fox girl was giddy with joy as her tail wagged at blurring speeds. "Indeed we are. It's like fate is bringing us together in matrimony. I'll prove to be the best waifu ever." Nero frowned upon seeing that the blonde net Navi ninja wasn't going to be her partner and was further annoyed that he was partnered with that fox girl instead. Reluctantly, she turned towards her assigned partner. "As much as I dislike this scenario, we may have to work together in this upcoming task," said Nero. "Humph, I guess I'll have to allow you to be my co-star, for now," said Elizabeth with a pout. "I hope we can work well together," said Gil. "Okay, but not sure I can say the same for our net Navis though," said Kuro. Gilgamesh and Archer were currently staring at each other intently with neither side making a sound for a while until the former spoke up. You better not get in my way, mongrel, for it will be your last, said Gilgamesh. Humph, right back at you, said Archer. The entrance to the Sakura labyrinth became active. The BB spoke up to regain their attention once more. The third stage is set, I wish you all good luck. Got it, let's go, Tamamo-chan. Naruto dove into the entrance with the fox girl soon following afterwards. Right behind you, Maelstrom-kun, said Tamamo excitedly. The duo emerged from the portal to find themselves standing in what appears to be coastal area where they are standing on the shores of the mainland with waves crashing onto the sand, but ahead of them are 3 small islands ahead of them over the vast ocean, all in all a very appealing place to behold. Well, looks like we're here, now to find where the moon tablet pieces are before the others do. Naruto took a glance at Tamamo and noticed that she was pouting a bit. What's the matter? If I knew that we would be somewhere close to the beach, I would have brought along my swimsuit, said Tamamo, puffing out her cheeks in a cute manner. Naruto unintentionally imagined the fox girl wear a 2-piece swimsuit and blushed at the sight of it, but shook his head to get it out of his mind. Let's stay focused, Tamamo-chan, we need to find the pieces first before anything else, said Naruto. Okay, Tamamo grumbled a little before following after Naruto when he picked a random direction and walked off to search for some useful clues. The duo continued on their trek along the sandy berm until reaching a rocky area with a tall cliff wall facing the ocean. They were drawing close to the sea cliff when suddenly something burst out from the sea and landed before them. It revealed to be a green-scaled fishman donning armor made out of hardened coral. The armored creature growled at them as it brandished its spear with the tip resembling that of a marlin's long beak. Then more of the fishmen with colors varying from red, green and blue jumped out from the sea as well and stood with the first while armed with cutlasses. These guys look like they mean business. Are you ready, Tamamo-chan? Asked Naruto while unsheathing the chakra blade and the vorpal blade before taking a battle stance. Tamamo giggled a bit before stretching a hand forward to summon a medium-sized ornamental mirror which proceeded to levitate around her. Ready when you are. Both nodded at each other, then charged towards the enemy who charged right back at them. Naruto rapidly attacked and defended against the first of the fishmen before dashing sideways to evade an incoming move of its spear and retaliating by throwing the vorpal blade with it barely grazing the armor as the fishman moved to the side. The opponent flung the spear at Naruto only for him to dodge it but was caught off guard when it opened its mouth to fire a powerful stream of water. Naruto raised the chakra blade to block the attack but was slowly being pushed back from the pressure. Hang on, boss, I'm sending a chip over to you. See, Naruto reached into the holster to grab a battle chip. Here we go. LX sword, battle chip in and download. Then he inserted the chip into the slot of the pet. Naruto's left hand transformed into a blue energy blade with arcs of electricity coursing through it. He dipped the sword into the water which caused the fishman to be electrocuted and disperse into pixels. The blonde cyber ninja turned towards the other fishmen charging towards him and charged right back. He ducked and dashed to dodge the slashes, then used the LX sword to zap them should they make contact, so the fishmen attempted a ranged attack tactic to fire jets of water at the ninja. Invisible, battle chip in and download. Another battle chip was inserted and Naruto immediately disappeared from sight. The enemy looked around for any sign of the ninja, but suddenly some of the fishmen screeched out in pain with multiple slashes appearing all over their bodies, with some of them disappearing into pixels due to high amounts of damage inflicted. Naruto reappeared with the Aurum blade and Vorpal sword in hand and aimed the former to fire when suddenly the weapon began to glow. Much to his confusion, then it faded to reveal a pair of red knuckle dusters with long claws similar to that of tigers. Then information about them flowed into his mind. I see, this is a new form of the Aurum blade, the tiger claws. Time for a little test run. Naruto dashed towards the remaining fishmen and slashed rapidly with the claws. One of the fishmen attacked him from the side with its cutlass, but Naruto flipped over to evade before landing behind and striking with a cross slash to take it down. He took aim at the others and fired energy bullet rapidly. Despite the shots being weaker than in blade form, it was enough to finish them off. I'm digging the claws, lets me really get up close and personal. It's mediocre in the least, I'll need to help you train in them more, said Kurama. Sure, though I wonder how Tamamo is doing, thought Naruto before turning to where the fox girl is. Tamamo was currently engaging her group of fishmen in close quarters. She was darting in and out of their attacks as if she was dancing from an outsider's point of view. The fox girl found an opportune moment and controlled her mirror to swoop in an arc to knock them away from her before she rushed up to one of the fishmen and proceeded to unleash a combo attack of punches and kicks before willing the mirror again to smash its head to the group. Tamamo reached into her sleeves and took out spell tag with an inscription drawn on it, curse, spirit theft. She threw the tag to hit the fishmen before a blue aura floated away from them and was absorbed by her. Now I'm energized. She dashed towards and rapidly alternated between them as she continued her assault before somersaulting into the air and bringing out 2 more spell tags, curse, fiery heaven, then threw them to unleash a large vortex of flames, burning the remaining fishmen away. She turned away to see Naruto walking towards her, apparently done with his own battle. Those are some pretty slick moves, Tamamo-chan, no wonder you were able to get this far in the tournament, said Naruto admirably. Tamamo looked away to cup her cheeks with her hands as she blushed. "Aw, you're just saying that, She noticed something laying on the rocky floor and went over to pick it up, revealing to be a scroll. What's a scroll doing here? Naruto walked over to take a closer look at it. I'm guessing that one of the fishmen must have dropped it after being defeated by us. Let's see what's inside. Tamamo nodded in affirmation, then unraveled the scroll to reveal what's inside. It appears to be some sort of map illustrating the 3 islands, which has a shrine built on each of them, though the appears to another built in the middle of the sea and surrounded by the islands. Naruto and Tamamo were carefully examining the map and trying to figure out what it means. From the looks of it, the shrines on the island seem to be good places to check out for the moon tablet pieces, said Naruto. Me too, but I don't really understand about the 4th shrine in the middle of the sea. Tamamo looks out to the sea with confusion at the absence of the supposed shrine, when it's not even there. Maybe it sank to the bottom of the ocean, can't really tell with how this place was set up for us, but for now we should make our way to one of the islands, starting with the one on the left. Naruto pointed at said island ahead of them. But how would we get there? It will take too long to even swim there, asked Tamamo. Actually, I have a way of getting us there, but it will have to require me carrying you there. Naruto blushed at the end of his sentence. Tamamo herself blushed at what he was saying. I am not going to try anything perverted, just going to carry you to the island is all, said Naruto, trying to clear up any misconceptions and avoid getting hit in the head. He has enough of those from Sakura and Tsunade already. For someone who created the CC Jutsu, you sure can be innocent at heart, said Kurama with a smirk. That was meant for pranks. There's no way I'm ever going to be a pervert like Pervy Sage, thought Naruto defiantly. The fox girl couldn't help but giggle a little at how the ninja was acting. She kind of finds it cute in a way. Okay, Maelstrom-kun, you can carry me to the island. Alright then, hop on. Naruto went down on one knee with his back to Tamamo, who was excited, inwardly climbed on to be carried piggyback. She snuggled into his warm back and couldn't help but notice that the scent emanating from him is like that of a fox, just like her. Maybe he has an affiliation to them given the whisker-like marks on his cheeks. She giggled a bit from being tickled by the spiky hair. Are you hanging on, Tamamo-chan? Asked Naruto. Yup, now show me how you're to get us there, Tamamo replied. Alright then. Naruto approached the sea and channeled chakra to his feet before stepping out. Soon he was walking on top of the seawater, much to the surprise of the fox girl. You can walk on water. Naruto looked over his shoulder with a foxy grin on his face. That and a lot more. Better hold on while I take the scenic route to our next destination. Then he immediately started running across the sea towards the first of the 3 islands to begin their search of the moon tablet pieces before the others would get to them first. Meanwhile, in a dark room, BB and Passion Lip, along with third person still hidden in the shadows, were looking at the monitors which were displaying the actions of the competitors as they searched for the required relics, but their eyes were settled on Naruto as he carried Tamamo towards one of the islands, though they weren't pleased with him carrying the fox girl. How lucky that she gets to be carried by him, said Passion Lip with a cute pout. Well, she certainly won't be doing so for long if I have anything to say about it, said the shadowed girl. That's enough, Melt Lilith. We need to focus on the current matter at hand, said BB sternly, silencing Melt Lilith. Apparently Kiera has made contact with Naruto-kun for the 2nd time and informed of something which is making him keep his distance from us. Could she be trying to expose the truth about us and the moon cell? That will go against the contract made between us, said Melt Lilith with her eyes narrowed. I may not be so sure, but we need to make sure that there is no room for errors in the system. There can only be one who will access the moon cell and make a wish, no one else. We should also be prepared should the need to face him in the battlefields come, said BB. Hi/H, said the two girls, although Passionlip was feeling unsure of the plan. She didn't want to fight and possibly delete the blonde ninja, for he was the first who wanted to befriend her and not hurt her unlike the others before him. Please don't believe what that woman told you, Naruto-kun, thought Passionlip worriedly. Been wanting to fight him and see how strong his love is. I wonder how it would feel on this body of mine, thought Melt Lilith. Remember that it must all go according to plan, said BB as the light in her eyes were slowly darkening, with the same going for the other two. Naruto and Tamamo arrived at one of the 3 islands, particularly the western one. He reached the sandy shore and placed the fox girl down from his back, although she was pouted a bit at that. I wish I could stay on his back a little longer, thought Tamamo while trying not to whine. Now that we've arrived at the island, let's go look for the temple and search for any clues leading to the moon tablet, said Naruto while scoping out the area for any signs of enemies. Okay Maelstrom-kun, said Tamamo happily. The duo made their way from the beach and past the palm trees to enter the forest ahead of them. Naruto and Tamamo took to leaping along the branches of the trees to get around quickly. It took some time when Naruto landed on a branch and gestured for Tamamo to stop, with the fox girl landing next to him. What's the matter? Tamamo whispered to him. Look over there, Naruto pointed for her to look. Ahead of them is a large clearing, and built on it appears to be a temple of Eastern design adorned with coral reefs, shells among other sea-themed decoration. In the center is a large gray statue depicting a giant serpentine dragon which is coiled around a giant pearl atop a circular pedestal. However, there are also fishmen patrolling the area. We'll need to clear them out first before anything else, said Naruto. But how do we do that? Asked Tamamo curiously. I'm somehow surprised that you aren't spamming your shadow clones to sweep the enemies out, said Kurama with a quirked eyebrow. True, but I want to reserve my chakra in case we run into the others, or if worse, data ghosts. That last one we faced showed just how tough the past fighters were, thought Naruto. Then snapped back into focus. I got an idea. First we trigger some confusion amongst the guards before rushing in to take them while they try to gather themselves. Okay, Maelstrom-kun. Yo, Naruto, I'll be needing the bombs, said Naruto. Coming right up, multiple mini-bomb battle chips in, and download. See, Naruto held many battle chips in between his fingers and proceeded to rapidly insert them into the pet. Naruto cupped his hands together for the spherical bombs to materialize on them. He tossed them into the air, then proceeded to grab each one and throw in direction of the shrine grounds as they exploded and threw up clouds of dust. The fishmen growled in confusion of the sudden attack. Naruto and Tamamo immediately rushed in to engage the enemies. Naruto conjured multiple cyber shuriken and flung them to strike a few of the fishmen, while others deflected the projectiles before rushing at him with their cutlasses brandished. Naruto quickly unsheathed his chakra blade and the vorpal blade, then he constantly clashed steel with fishmen and quickly evades to avoid being overwhelmed. He backflipped several times to create some distance, then threw both blades simultaneously to cut down some of them before returning to his hands. Tamamo was constantly striking the enemies with her clawed fingers and at times swch to a barrage of kicks. She dashed sideways to avoid a move of a spear from one of the fishmen, then she summoned her mirror to bash it hard, then slammed a powerful palm move to send it careening into some of its compatriots. Tamamo took out a spell tag, Charm, Frigid Heaven. She threw it at the fishmen, which then encased them in a large block of ice. She twirled round with her tail, enlarging to smash both them and the ice into smaller pieces before facing the next incoming group of enemies. Several of the fishmen opened their mouths wide to spew powerful streams of water at the fox girl, but she managed to outpace them with her acrobatic skills whilst using her mirror to deflect any from potentially hitting her. In midair, Tamamo tossed several spell tags into the air and launched the first batch to unleash multiple fiery explosions, then taking hold of the second batch, Curse, Chaos Heaven, she threw them to trigger large vortex of razor-sharp winds to slice through a majority of the fishmen. Naruto himself was busy at his side as he had summoned the Aurum blade and shifted its form to the tiger claws for speed and maneuverability to weave in and out of the group. He dashed backwards to evade a slash whilst rapidly firing plasma shots in retaliation. Hang on, I'm sending a chip on the way. Boomerang battle chip in, download. See, Naruto inserted a chip as Naruto's right arm transformed into an attachment with a V-shaped bladed boomerang latched onto it, then he threw it towards the fishmen to slice through them. Fire hit battle chip in, download. Naruto's fists ignited in flames before lunging at the remainder of the fishmen to unleash a barrage of fiery punches to take them all out. Soon enough, the entire temple was clear of enemies as Naruto and Tamamo can now feel less vigilante for the meantime. Well, that's all of them. Now we can take a closer look at this shrine, said Naruto. Yup, Tamamo nodded in affirmation. The duo began to examine every part of the shrine the best they could, and so far they haven't found anything which could give them any kind of clues which might lead them to the pieces of the moon tablet. I'm not finding anything useful around here. What about your side, Tamamo? Asked Naruto. Said Fox Girl was checking out the dragon statue outside. Nothing here either, HM. She leant on the statue when it suddenly rotated sideways. Maelstrom-kun, come and take a look at this. Naruto walked out of the shrine to approach with a quirked eyebrow. What is it? The statue seems to be able to rotate. It might mean something. Naruto gazed at the statue thoughtfully. You might be right. Let's rotate it and see what happens. Naruto created a few shadow clones and together they began to rotate the statue a few times when it suddenly locked in place, then slowly sank into the ground and stopped with a click as the giant pearl began to glow with a blue aura. The island rumbled slightly, then stopping. Well, that did something, but the question is what, said Naruto. Maybe if we did the same for the two statues in the other islands, something might happen, said Tamamo. Sounds like the best lead we got, so let's for island number 2, said Naruto, taking out the map to plan a route to the destination. Okay, said Tamamo, giddy at the thought of being carried across the sea again. The duo returned to the shore where Naruto marked the direction before putting the map away and beckoned Tamamo to get on his back again, something she was all too happy to do so as she hopped onto his back and wrapped her arms around his neck, much to the blonde's surprise. Well, what do we have here? A girl who actually wants to be carried by you. I dare say that you got to do something that perverted Toad Sage would never get to do and one-upped him, said Kurama with a sly grin. It's not like that, Kurama. There's no way I'll ever be a super pervert like Pervy Sage, though you got a point there, thought Naruto, inwardly agreeing in the end. Naruto channeled chakra to his feet once more before running on top of the seawater as fast as he can without tiring himself out. It took them some time, but they soon arrived at the next island. The duo traversed the forest and reached the second temple. This one's building structure is similar to the first temple, but it comprised entirely of wood as it was built atop a lake. Naruto and Tamamo were also to locate the second dragon statue, and sure enough there were fishmen patrolling the area with a new addition of hulking humanoid sharks equipped with armor and spiked maces. There's the next statue. Let's clear these guys out, then we can activate the second statue, said Naruto. I'm ready when you are, Maelstrom-kun, said Tamamo. Then let's go. Naruto charged forward with Tamamo close behind as they quickly entered the temple grounds, attracting the attention of the aquatic soldiers. Naruto crossed the idle and index fingers of each hand together, shadow clone jutsu. He created a squad of clones to rush at one of the shark men who swung his mace at them, but they quickly evaded the attack. The first two clones performed a dual high kick at the enemy's torso to make him bend over, then third lashed out with a backflip kick to knock his head up. Bronze Fist battle chip in, download. Naruto's right hand was equipped with a bronze gauntlet as he swung at the shark man to smash him to the ground, dispersing him into data. One of his clones grabbed him by the arm and flung him sideways before being hit by a powerful water stream by a fishman. Naruto performed a one-handed side flip before conjuring several cyber kunai in both hands, then launching them to take his target down. Chakra blade wave. Naruto unsheathed his chakra blade and channeled chakra through it before swinging it to launch a blue crescent wave of energy to slice through several more of the fishmen. Don't look now, but it looks like the vixen is in a bit of a pinch, said Kurama urgently. Naruto looked over his shoulders to see that Tamamo was fighting several fishmen and evading their cutlasses, but the shark men weren't making it any easier for her with their spiked maces. Darn it, I gotta help her. I'm on it, boss. Area Steel and Meteor Guard battle chips in, download. See, Naruto rapidly inserted the battle chips into the pet. Naruto warped from where he stood to reappear next to Tamamo, then he went down on one knee and slammed a palm on the ground as a large helmet-shaped shield to encase both of them. The shark men swung at the shield but were knocked back upon impact. Thank you, Maelstrom-kun, now it's my turn. Tamamo stepped forward as her body emitted a purple flaming aura with two large concentrations on her hands and was hovering a foot from the ground. Higanbana Seshoseki. She moved her hands forward to launch a large purple sphere of magic energy which exploded in a wide radius upon impact with one of the fishmen. Many were destroyed into pixels while the others suddenly turned green and collapsed before following the same fate as the rest. Okay, now that we're... Naruto stopped in mid-sentence and quickly summoned the Aurum blade and pointed it over his shoulder to fire a plasma shot. Then there was the sound of groaning for a moment before silence. Alone, let's twist the next statue. He created another group of shadow clones and together they rotated the second dragon statue several times until it locked in place, then slowly sank into the ground and stopped with a click as the giant pearl began to glow with a blue aura. The island shook again and a bit more violently than the first one before going still once more. We only got one more to go, said Tamamo excitedly. Yeah, and I bet the security is gonna be tougher than the last two, said Naruto. I'm sure we can handle them too. Let's get going already. Tamamo grabbed Naruto's hand and started pulling him back to the shore. Looks like someone's looking forward to being carried again. At this rate she'll stay on your back and never get off, said Kurama teasingly. Cut it out, Kurama, it's not like that, thought Naruto with a pink tinge on his cheeks. I beg to differ. The duo returned to the shore and plotted their route to the third island before crossing the seas once more until finally arriving at their next destination. Naruto and Tamamo went into the forest to search for the temple, but it seems like this one is a bit harder to find unlike the last two. Naruto created several shadow clones to scout the area more thoroughly, after explaining to Tamamo about the passive ability of the jutsu for better understanding. This might be a little more difficult than before, said Naruto with a small frown. I'm sure we can handle whatever comes our way, said Tamamo cheerfully, getting the blonde to smile as well. You're right, no time for negativity. Naruto felt a memory flow into his mind and realized that one of his shadow clones' hand just found something interesting. Come on, Tamamo-chan, one of my clones found something which might be useful clue for us. Lead the way. Naruto went on ahead with Tamamo close behind as the duo leapt through the treetops for some time until landing in a small clearing before a tall cliff with a waterfall before them. This was where the clone was before it dispelled itself to send its memory to the original. This was where the clone dispelled itself, said Naruto. But what is there to find here? Asked Tamamo. Naruto looked around the area for anything out of the ordinary and so far wasn't coming up with any ideas. Then he recalled something that Kakashi told him during one of their training exercises. He looked at the waterfall and examined it closely before noticing something beyond it, a cavern entrance hidden behind the cover of the waterfall. Looks like Kakashi-sensei was right again. Sometimes you just gotta look underneath both literally and figuratively, Naruto muttered. Huh? Tamamo tilted her head cutely to the side. There's a hidden entrance behind the waterfall, it must lead to the third temple, said Naruto. Tamamo blinked in surprise, so that was it, then let's go. Naruto and Tamamo went past the waterfall and through the hidden entrance. They walked through a tunnel which was dimly lit with glowing crystals until reaching the end as it led into a large cavern with an underground lake where they found the third temple being built over it, and sure enough it is being guarded by fishmen and sharkmen. Same routine like, but watch out for surprises, said Naruto. You got it, said Tamamo in affirmation. Naruto and Tamamo rushed forward while launching the chakra blade and mirror respectively as spinning projectiles towards the enemies whilst rapidly closing the distance to engage them in close combat with their weapons returning to them. Naruto rolled on ground to evade a heavy swing of the spiked mace from a shark man, then slashed at the torso with his chakra blade before summoning the Aurum blade while pulling the trigger to rapidly fire plasma bullets, then finished up by performing a cross slash with both weapons. He quickly ducked as Tamamo leapt overhead and slammed into a fishman with a flying side kick. Then she manipulated her mirror to fly around her and strike her target consecutively before tossing a spell tag to unleash a wind vortex for extra damage. The fox girl twirled round to evade a slash from her left side and retaliated with a 4-hit punching combo and a roundhouse kick to knock it away from her as a volley of cyber shuriken flew past her to finish it off. Shotgun battle chip in, download. See Naruto inserted a battle chip into the pet. Naruto put away the chakra blade for his arm to transform into a small cannon. Then he took aim at the enemies and began firing a salvo of energy shots which pierced through the first ones to strike the ones behind. Some of the fishmen launched streams of water at Naruto, but Tamamo intercepted the attacks by having her mirror hover before her to block them. Naruto ran past Tamamo towards the enemies as he created 2 shadow clones at both sides. They proceeded to create a Rasengan on each hand as they ran until they were completely formed. Rasengan barrage. He rammed the first spiraling sphere into Sharkman's torso, blow him away and slam into others in his path. Then he rammed the second into a fishman for the same result. A few more of these guys left to take down and we're, something caught Naruto's attention from the corner of his eye and turned to see something bubbling in the lake. Then something burst out from the water to reveal to be a giant green sea snake as the reptile hissed loudly before looking down at the perpetrators with a hungry look in its eyes. Snakes? Why does it have to be snakes, especially of the supersize variety? As much as I want to feel amused about all this, look sharp, said Kurama urgently. Naruto instinctively leapt out of the way as the snake lunged at him with its jaws wide open. Oh hell no. One of your cousins ate me, another tried to eat me, but you're not gonna eat me. The snake simply hissed and slithered towards him. Naruto continuously dashed backwards and was constantly flinging cyber kunai and shuriken, but they didn't seem to be damaging it as much as he thought. He rolled out of the way to avoid another chomp, but the serpent was relentless. Maelstrom-kun, hold on, I'm coming. Tamamo took out several spell tags from her sleeve. Curse, Thunderstorm Heaven. She threw them to trigger a large electrical discharge upon contact with the snake, causing it to hiss loudly in pain before turning to glare at the fox girl before charging at her. Tamamo ran around the stalagmites to slow the snake down, but it easily smashed through due to its size and was catching up to her. The snake was just about to chomp at her when it hissed in pain again. Tamamo turned round to see that Naruto was standing atop the snake's head with his chakra blade stabbed deeply into its skin. Maelstrom-kun, be careful. I know. Naruto called back. The snake began thrashing about wildly to shake Naruto off, but he held on and was pushing the blade further inside, then unsheathed the vorpal blade to stab with it too, which made it thrash even more wildly. Come on Snakey, is that all you got? Look out, behind you. Tamamo called out in alert. Naruto looked back for his eyes to widen in shock as the snake was backing towards the cavern wall to smash into it. He pulled out both blades and leapt off in time, then landed on the ground with a roll. Phew, that was a close one, said Naruto. Don't look now, but here it comes again, said Kurama urgently. Already on it. Naruto sheathed the blades and waited for his clone to send in a battle chip. Yo-yo battle chip in, download. His right arm transformed into an armament as he launched a bladed yo-yo towards the snake and had the rope wrap around it. Then he quickly dashed towards a stalagmite to wrap the other end around it for support. The snake struggled to break free, but Naruto held strong and summoned the Aurum blade to shoot at it constantly. Tamamo was quick to join in by throwing her spell tags for elemental damage, with the snake getting far more damaged. However, it managed to break free by snapping the rope but was moving slowly. Now's the time to finish it off. Cannon triple battle chips in, download. Naruto's left and right arms transformed into green cannons as he held together over his head and they fused to form a large green cannon. Naruto took aim at the giant snake with the cannon charging up energy. Program advance, Giga Cannon V1. He fired a large beam which instantly deleted the snake. Naruto let out a sigh of relief as the cannon dissipated into pixels and his faceplate retracted. I'm glad that's over and done with. Me too, we haven't found the moon tablet yet and we're getting a bit tired from all this, said Tamamo. True, now let's twist the last dragon statue and see what happens next, said Naruto. Then he created another group of shadow clones to rotate the statue as it locked in place like the others, but this time the tremor is so much greater than the previous two. Let's get out of here in case this cave collapses. Tamamo nodded in affirmation, okay. The duo rushed out of the cave and made their way back to the shore. It was there that they saw something unbelievable. Something was rising from the sea. Naruto and Tamamo stood and watched as the wonder rose completely until revealing it to be a large rocky island covered in coral of different colors, but it didn't end there as the tide began to recede and reveal a long sandy bank leading all the way to the island from where they stood like a bridge of sorts. So it wasn't that the island sank to the bottom of the ocean, but it was rather hidden underwater, said Naruto in wonder. And those statues are what made it to rise to the surface. Now that I think of it, all three of the dragon statues were in the direction of the fourth island, said Tamamo. Quite the puzzle if you look at it from a certain point of view, said Kurama. That's good and all, but we need to go and check it out quickly. All this commotion would have long since attracted the others and we need to get there first before they do, said Naruto. You're right, let's hurry, said Tamamo. The duo quickly ran along the sand bank and arrived at the island. They searched around a bit before locating an entrance to a cave which they entered and walked through a tunnel until it ended at an underwater passageway to who knows where. Naruto was precautious enough to send in a few shadow clones just in case of traps. It took some time for Naruto to map out the proper route with some help from Kurama. Naruto dove in with Tamamo following him as they swam through the underwater passage as quickly as they could before surfacing at the end to pass through an entry into a massive circular chamber supported by large pillars made of coral. At the end is a shrine like the ones before, and there they saw the complete moon tablet placed on it. We found it. Tamamo hopped happily. Yeah, let's go get it. Naruto and Tamamo began walking towards the shrine and were halfway there when a voice suddenly spoke up from behind them. I would suggest not approaching that shrine just yet. They turned round to see none other than Nero with Elizabeth standing next to her and squeezing the seawater out of her clothes with a frown. Mao. Why did they have to hide the tablet someplace wet? Elizabeth whined a bit. How did you two get here? Asked Tamamo. They must have followed us here. I should have noticed we were being tailed, said Naruto with a small frown. That's quite astute of you, Maelstrom-san. It seems like we're all at an impasse. However, this is also an opportunity from a certain perspective, said Nero. Tamamo tilted her head in confusion. What do you mean? It's like I said before, I've been wanting to cross blades with you for quite some time and now the opportunity has finally presented itself. Nero held a hand out as there was a red flash of light to reveal her holding single-edged crimson sword designed to resemble a flame and a golden arm shield. Naruto tensed at the sight of the finely crafted weapon. He hasn't forgotten about Nero expressing her longing to fight him, as he felt the same way for others including herself, though he wasn't exactly expecting to battle her at this time. He glanced sideways to see Tamamo looking just as tense as he is. There's no doubt that they're going to have to fight in order to stake their claim on the moon tablet. Well, you two have had your fun in this tournament, but now it's time for you to get off the stage to make room for this idol to steal the show, said Elizabeth haughtily as she summoned a dragon lance in hand, with everyone frowning at her in annoyance. It would have happened in the end, so I guess better late than never. So let's have a great battle. Naruto unsheathed his chakra blade and took a combat stance. Nero nodded in approval. Bulmo, I finally get to witness your artistry in battle. I'll take her on, she's been asking for it for long time till. Tamamo stared intently at Elizabeth. All those times the self-proclaimed idol had been making fun of Naruto and the others, and she has the opportunity for payback. Nero rushed towards Naruto and attacked him with a diagonal slash of her sword. Naruto quickly created a shadow clone behind him for it to cup its hands together, then Naruto jumped backwards to land on them before being tossed into the air to evade the strike, and the clone was hit instead. Naruto descended with a downward slash only for Nero to dash backwards to evade the attack, but he followed up by throwing the chakra blade like boomerang and followed after it whilst unsheathing the vorpal blade. Nero deflected the incoming blade with a half spin, then quickly raised her sword to block the follow-up from Naruto. Both sides struggled to push the other back until they broke away and stood a fair distance apart. Naruto sheathed his blade with the chakra blade having reappeared in his sheath, then he crossed his arms together and conjured multiple shuriken in his hands. Saber Shuriken. Naruto began flinging volleys of throwing stars one after another at Nero. The red swordswoman was dashing in a zigzag pattern while deflecting any shuriken which might hit her and was right in front of Naruto whilst swinging her sword. Shadow Clone Jutsu. he quickly created a clone to appear in front of him with a pair of cyber kunai in hand to block the attack for him. Naruto maneuvered around them as he summoned the Harem blade and had it transform into the tiger claws, then slashed at Nero. She kicked away the clone and turned round to block the first claw attack with her arm shield, then the second one with her sword before pushing him away. Nero took a stance, Rosa Ichthyes. She dashed towards Naruto and unleashed a 3-hit sword combo upon him. Naruto defended himself with the claws but wasn't able to block all of the attacks and so took damage from them. Tomo, I see now, you don't exactly have a sense style trained into your body, and yet you are capable of performing attacks and tactics without planning beforehand. That is quite exquisite and very rare form of art. I guess I'll take that as a compliment, said Naruto confusedly. Let's see you handle this. Shadow Clone Jutsu. He created a large number of shadow clones before sending them at Nero. She was momentarily surprised before snapping back into focus. She rapidly switched between offense and defense against the attacking clones and was taking them down one by one. Suddenly 4 of the shadow clones were sliding towards her from 4 different directions, Ru, to. They all kicked simultaneously to launch Nero into the air towards the original who had jumped into the air beforehand. Uzumaki Barrage. He lashed out with an axe kick to which she used the flat side of her blade to block, but the impact sent her crashing to the ground with Naruto landing nearby. How's that? I'm just getting started, said Naruto with a smirk. Nero got back to her feet, looking bruised but smiling nonetheless. Most impressive, but then again I too am yet to battle with my full strength. Meanwhile Tamamo was exchanging blows with Elizabeth as she ducked and weaved from the swings and thrusts of the dragon lance before retaliating with her martial arts and the mirror, but the female lancer was just as skilled by using short flaps of her dragon wings to evade her opponent's attacks. Lert Suger Tran. Elizabeth suddenly spun round with her back facing Tamamo, then thrusting her lance between her 2 legs towards the fox girl, who quickly somersaulted sideways to evade the attack. Then she took out a couple of spell tags before throwing them at her target. Losang the Hungry, the self-proclaimed idol, called out before being damaged by the flaming vortex triggered by the spell tag. The flames died to reveal parts of her body burnt, and suddenly she began to heal rapidly, much to Tamamo's surprise. That was a hot tempo. And here's my verse. Elizabeth flapped her wings to take to the air and flew about a bit before swooping towards Tamamo with the lance move at her. Tamamo dodged to the side, but Elizabeth stabbed the lance to the ground and spun around on it to launch a double kick to send her flying back. Tamamo recovered from the attack and flipped back to her feet and was glaring at Elizabeth. Then she rushed in to engage her in close combat once more and attacked with twice the fervor and was able to land some hits on her opponents, along which bashing several times with her mirror before knocking the female lancer with a flying side kick before jumping back and taking out a spell tag, Curse, Chaos Heaven. She threw it to trigger a vortex of razor-sharp wind to continuously strike Elizabeth. Before dissipating after stacking up a decent amount of damage, Tamamo launched her mirror to strike again, but Elizabeth used her lance to deflect it. Estet Repolies, she had her lance hover in the air before sitting on it like a witch riding a magic broom, then had it lunge at Tamamo with great speed. Mantra, a photic cave. The fox girl had the mirror position in front of her to receive the attack. She flinched from the pain but was still able to keep fighting as the damage was reduced upon contact. I'm not going to lose to you, said Tamamo determinedly. You're not going to upstage an idol like me, Elizabeth retorted. Naruto skidded backwards with slashes and bruises on him and his armor as he turned his attention to Nero. Was in the same state like him and both were panting slightly from exhaustion but still rearing to go on with this battle. He sent the Harem blade away, then held the chakra blade with both hands before charging towards Nero, who charged right back at him. They met in the middle and constantly clashed blades, with Nero using her skills whilst Naruto relied on his instincts to push back with both sides, not giving the other an inch until jumping away for a momentary rest. Truly marvelous, you really are something to behold. Let us see how you will comprehend this form of art. Nero stood upright with her sword held overhead and swings it in a circular motion. It gradually engulfs in flames. Sing, Fax Caelestis. She dashed forward at high speed towards Naruto, who raised his sword to defend, but she flashed past to stop behind him. Suddenly a slash appeared on his armor, then he was engulfed in flames. Naruto went down on one knee with his body being burnt from the attack and bits of data were floating out of him. Darn it, what a move. I wasn't expecting anything like it. Stay focused kid, your body took critical damage, said Kurama urgently. Hang on boss. Recov 80 battle chip in, download. See Naruto quickly inserted a battle chip into the pet as a white beacon of light shone upon Naruto and he began to recover to the point that he could still fight. Naruto stood to his feet and faced Nero once more. I gotta admit that's a pretty cool move, but now it's my turn. He raised the chakra blade before him and tapped the glowing Konoha symbol as blue chakra surged out of the blade and took shape of a longer variation, overflow state active. Here I come Nero-san. He dashed forwards all the while swinging the chakra blade rapidly to launch multiple waves of chakra towards the red swordswoman who dashed from side to side to avoid them with a few. Managing to strike parts of her body until Naruto arrived and clashed swords with her once more. Naruto flipped backwards in the air then moved the blade below for the energy blade to extend towards the opponent but missed as she had moved away before retracting and landed back on the ground. Blistering blades, wisps of chakra flowed out of the blade and took on the of the chakra blade with 4 hovering at each side before launching them at the target with great speed but draining the chakra from the overflow by a certain amount. Nero defended against the assault the best she could but took in some serious damage from the clone chakra blades. She gazed at the blonde shinobi and was truly impressed with his tenacity but she wasn't ready to go down just yet. Nero took out a rose then tossed it into the air and burst to shower the place with rose petals much to Naruto's confusion as well as the others. What could she be up to, thought Naruto. I don't know but be on guard, said Kurama. They watched as Nero stabbed her sword to the ground to form a magic circle around her and she began to speak some sort of incantation. I shall offer this gift to a full moon. Dancing scatters the flowers, and cleaves open a star. Behold the supreme beauty, and praise it. Estis domus aurea. There was a bright flash of light all over the area before dimming to reveal everyone standing in what appears to be a large golden theater and Naruto took note that Nero's sword is now shrouded in flames. Naruto glanced to the side to see that Tamamo and Elizabeth had resumed their battle so he turned his attention back to his opponent. If it's anything like Alice-chan's technique, then I bet that this one would have an effect on me and Tamamo. Thought Naruto. I have set up the perfect scenario for our climatic battle Maelstrom Kuan, let us see who shall emerge victorious. Nero declared. We'll see. Naruto unsheathed the vorpal blade to dual wield before engaging Nero in close combat. He constantly clashed blades with Nero but then as the battle continued, he noticed that Nero was getting faster and stronger, or was it that he was getting slower and weaker? Naruto jumped back and took note that the chakra blade's energy was flickering and the overflow state was dissipating sooner than it was supposed to. He glanced to the side to see Tamamo looking just as exhausted. Something's not right about this. Do you have any idea what's going on? Your power is being suppressed and is making you weaker as the time goes. This must be what this technique of hers does, said Kurama with a frown. Is there a way out of this? You need to raise your power faster than it is reduced and defeat her to disrupt the technique, so I'm giving you my chakra. Thanks Kurama, this the power boost I need for these kind of situations like always. Nero was taken by surprise when she saw a red aura burst out of Naruto's body and swirled around him in the form of tails before forming a layer around his body. His blue eyes changed to red and became slitted, and his hair became longer and spikier. What is this power? I've never sensed anything like it and it continues to increase. My phantasm might not be able to reduce it enough. Nero saw him hunch over then disappeared in a blur. Her instinct screamed at her to defend as she raised her arm shield in time to block a powerful punch from him and was sent skidding back from the impact, and his strength has increased as well. Heh, she looks at Naruto with a smile on her face. Domo, as to be expected from you, continuously coming up with surprises is truly an artwork unique only to you. She dashed at Naruto with her sword at the ready and proceeded to strike at him with fiery slashes. The now feral ninja summoned the Aurum blade and had it transform into the tiger claws to fit his current style. Two blurs could be seen colliding repeatedly in the field for several moments before breaking away from each other. I believe that the time has come to bring an end to this memorable battle with use of our most powerful attacks, wouldn't you agree? Asked Nero. Yeah, fun's over. Ulmo. Nero sent away her arm shield and positioned her sword to side in a slight crouch with the flame blazing strongly. Naruto sent away the tiger claws and unsheathed the chakra blade to activate its overflow state once again, then took a stance for a single sword strike. Both stared at each other intently for a few moments before charging at high speed and struck with their best attacks. Laus St. Claudius. Overslash. There was a large explosion, then a flash of light which dimmed to reveal that the Golden Theater had disappeared and everyone were back in the temple. The flames died down to reveal Naruto standing albeit partially scorched while Nero landed on her back with her sword laid next to her. She looked at Naruto still smiling. It appears that this battle has ended in your victory and my defeat. I feel no regret, said Nero. Naruto nodded in affirmation with his mouth guard retracting and Kurama withdrawing his chakra. Yeah, but I gotta say that you were totally strong. I'll accept that compliment wholeheartedly, though I might not be able to get my wish. I'm sure you can accomplish it even without the Holy Grail. I see, perhaps next time we meet, we could battle again. Naruto gave her a foxy grin. Sure, I'll be ready at any time. Nero giggled at that, then she disappeared in a beam of light. Naruto turned to see Tamamo approaching him while covered in bruises and parts of her kimono were torn, but she was smiling brightly. I take it that you won, Tamamo-chan. The fox girl nodded happily. Yup. She was tough, but I managed to beat her by using my noble phantasm for the win. I wasn't going to let her off after all those mean things she said to us. And she was whining about us stopping her from being an idol. Heh, that's true. Now let's get that moon tablet and return to the academy so that Sakura-chan can patch us up. Yeah, I look awful like this. The duo approached the shrine and took the moon tablet, then used it to release a beam of light towards the ground to form a small circular platform with a metallic outline and a glowing bright blue center with the symbol of a moon at a focal point. They stepped onto the portal and felt themselves being transported back to the academy. Naruto woke up from bed with a loud yawn and saw that Alice and Shiori were still fast asleep on both sides. He quietly got off the bed to avoid waking them up before checking his stats, which are all in good condition, before calling on to Kurama. Looks like yesterday was rather hectic, don't you think so, Kurama? Asked Naruto. That is an understatement. Those two which you and the vixen faced were quite strong. What happened yesterday at the infirmary was rather said Kurama. Naruto thought back to when he and Tamamo went to the infirmary for Sakura to heal them, then her reaction to a question which he asked. Flashback start. Naruto and Tamamo emerged from the Sakura labyrinth and made their way to the school infirmary, which they entered. Their Sakura smiled upon seeing them. Ah, Maelstrom-kun, Tamamo-san. It's good to see you two again, said Sakura fondly. Same here, Sakura-chan. We just got back from completing the next stage of the tournament, said Naruto with a foxy grin. Perhaps you can tell me more about it while I patch you two up. Naruto and Tamamo sat on the cot and told Sakura about what they had been through and the battles that they had, especially with the one against Nero and Elizabeth, which they emerged victorious before claiming the moon tablet and exiting from the labyrinth, which filled the nurse with intrigue. And better yet, we finally able to get back at that Elizabeth girl who was being so mean to us and proved to be the better vixen, said Tamamo cheerfully. That's nice to hear, said Sakura with a smile. Naruto looked rather thoughtful before speaking up. I've been wondering about something, Sakura-chan, but are you familiar with BB? He noticed her suddenly stiffen at the question before turning towards him. What makes you ask that question? Well, I've noticed that you two look alike, like twins, besides the fact that your hairstyles are a bit different, the blonde ninja pointed. Now that you mention it, he does have a point about how you two look alike. So you know her? Asked Tamamo curiously. Sakura looked to be struggling for an answer to their question before speaking up in a subdued tone. I know her in a way, but I can't really describe how so. It is rather complicated to explain. Tamamo tilted her head in confusion. I don't really get it, you know BB-san, but at the same time you don't. She does have a point there. Maybe you don't recall how you two met? Asked Naruto with a quirked eyebrow. Sakura nodded slowly, something like that. Can we not talk about it anymore, please? Okay, let's talk about something else. Naruto chose another subject for the conversation but still couldn't help but think back on her reaction. Flashback end. What do you think happened back there? Asked Naruto thoughtfully. I can guess about two things. First is that she knows BB but is too fearful to reveal anything about her, and the second is that she has fragmented memories about her, said Kurama musingly. I guess that's the gist of it, but Kiara-san seems to know her very well and isn't afraid of BB-san. And that rubs me the wrong way, like I said before, that you best tread lightly around her. If you say so, Kurama, there's more to this tournament than I think we're allowed to know. Maybe we should try to find out on our own. Kurama frowned in thought at that suggestion. Maybe so. I recall that this place had ruins on our way into the building, which means there could be clues left behind by those that lived here. Send a shadow clone out there to investigate while we attempt to do the same here. But how? I can't jack out to the pet to use the jutsu, said Naruto confusedly. Your clone that wears the holobrace can perform the jutsu to form one before recharging with one of the chakra battery tags. Good idea. Naruto contacted his clone and had him do just that, with the shadow clone turning into a mouse and sneaking out the slightly open door to carry out its assigned task. Alright then, now for us to do the same, but where should we start? I suggest revisiting the previous stages. There should be something in one of those places, said Kurama. Roger that. Naruto nodded in affirmation. Naruto? He turned around to see Alice and Shirori awake and were looking at him. Is there something wrong? Oh, nothing's wrong, just that I'm planning on doing some training in the Sakura Labyrinth before the next stage is announced later in the day, Naruto responded. Alice was saddened upon hearing that. So you won't have any time to play with us? Naruto to pat them softly on their heads. Don't be so sad. We're drawing close to the end of the tournament, after which I'll take you two home with me. That way we can spend most of the time together with lesser major events getting in the way. You promise? Asked Shirori with hope. Of course, you know that I always keep my promises. Okay, I hope you get stronger so you can win and we can leave together, said Alice, getting Naruto to smile fondly. The blonde cyber ninja bade the girls farewell before leaving the room and out of the dorm towards the entrance of the Sakura Labyrinth, where he selected the coastal stage to begin his investigation. He soon arrived at the location and began making his way towards the first of the now 4 islands, particularly the shrines, for something out of the ordinary. Meanwhile, the clone had stealthily made his way out of the building by using the ventilation system in order to avoid detection from the cameras and the drones patrolling the hallways. He was soon jumping along the tree branches and looking around for anything when he chanced upon a small site of ruins before approaching it to take a closer look. Naruto checked around a couple of times when he caught glimpse of what appears to be a trapdoor underneath a piece of a stone pillar, and so began pushing to the side with great effort to create a big enough opening for him to squeeze through. I wonder what's in here. Maybe something that could help the boss, said Naruto thoughtfully as he went through a dark tunnel with flickering light bulbs overhead to light up the way a bit as he traversed the rubble partially obstructing his path when he arrived at the end of the tunnel to go through an open doorway. Naruto found himself standing in the middle of what appears to be a research laboratory, only that there are pieces of debris here and here, broken computers and sheets of paper scattered all over the place. Naruto walked about and picking up the sheets to see formulas and matrices which are very complex for him to understand. The way this place appears, it might be that this island was hit by an earthquake or something. He glanced aside to catch sight of a worn notebook. He picked it up and dusted the cover with a hand to see a handwritten title. It sounds important. I think I should read this since it might contain information about the moon cell itself. The clone sat underneath the only lit light bulb and began to read through the notebook. Back with Naruto, he was currently exploring the forest area of the forest stage with a frown on his face. He had been investigating the other 2 stages earlier before but had found nothing relevant besides being annoyed by the enemies residing within them for him to take down along the way, with a couple of battle chips being used. Darn it, I've been everywhere and I'm not finding anything good. I hope that my clone is having better luck out there, said Naruto with a grumble. I was hoping the same, perhaps they were too well hidden, said Kurama with a frown. Maybe I should return to the dorm and wait for the clone to dispel in hopes of gaining some decent info. Naruto turned to walk away when the breeze suddenly picked up around him. What is that? A voice. Come, follow, breeze. Are you hearing it too, Kurama? Asked Naruto confusedly, receiving a grunt of affirmation from the bijou. Think I should follow it? Maybe so, but proceed with caution in the case that the voice might lead you into a trap, said Kurama. Got it. Naruto followed the direction of which the breeze was blowing whilst keeping an eye out for any kind of trap with his hands close to his weapons to quickly draw them out at the slightest appearance of any kind of oddity. He was led down to the lower level of the forest which he had come from not too long ago. It took some time until Naruto found himself standing before a large oak tree. The trail ends here, so what now? Naruto cautiously approached the tree's trunk and tapped it with a finger only to be surprised to see a ripple effect akin to that of when touching the surface of a still water. Could this be some sort of camouflage to cover up an entrance? Apparently so, but the question is what lies beyond it. Only one way to find out. Naruto cautiously stepped through the trunk to find himself walking through a dark tunnel and emerging at the end to find himself standing within a grotto with a small lake. Further ahead is a cozy-looking cottage. Wasn't expecting to see something like this here. He noticed the front door opening and saw someone stepping out of it. Before is a young girl about his age with purple hair which has a yellow ribbon tied to the left side and bright green-yellow eyes. She wears a green kimono with yellow clothing underneath and white frilly collar. The sleeves and the back of her dress has slightly darker color. On the front of her dress are yellow ropes woven into her kimono that tied into 2 knots and with 2 tassels. 2 more tassels are attached to the bottom of her sleeves. The girl also wears a black short under her kimono and a pair of yellow shoes with white socks. What is bugging Naruto is that the girl looks like a younger version of Sakura, just like BB and Passion Lip. The girl looked at Naruto and smiled politely. I've been waiting to meet you, Maelstrom.EXE, or should I address you by your true name, Naruto Uzumaki? Naruto's eyes widened in shock at what she just said, with Kurama narrowing his eyes in suspicion. How did you know who I am? The blonde's hands inched slowly towards the chakra blade and vorpal blade at the slightest provocation. I mean, you no harm in the least, rather I seek your assistance, hence why I called you here, said the girl in a calm manner. You still haven't answered my question, Naruto retorted with a frown. The reason why I know is that you and your Nitop shared the same unique energy signature, albeit you possess a larger vestige than the other. I'm not the only one, as BB and the other alter egos also know who you really are, and one of the main reasons why you were invited into the tournament. Well, you know my real name, but I don't know yours. Forgive my rudeness, I am Kazur, the alter ego of BB, said the girl with a bow. Alter ego? Asked Naruto confusedly. I have a lot to explain, and I can tell that you're seeking answers concerning this tournament, which was why you were pretending to explore the labyrinth for hidden answers, so I took the opportunity to call out to you. Kazur waved a hand to make 2 chairs and a table appear before her. Please take a seat and I'll tell you what you want to know. Naruto was hesitant and sought out Kurama's opinion. What do you think? Should I trust her? I can't say for sure. She might hold answers to some of our questions, but exercise caution like before, said Kurama. Naruto nodded in affirmation and went to sit on the chair while Kazur went to sit on the other. Alright then, so what do you mean by being an alter ego of BB? What I meant by alter ego is that I, along with 4 others, are offshoots made from the fragments of BB's emotions, created to act as her vanguard and cores to expand the Sakura labyrinth. Despite being offshoots born from BB's emotions into new souls, we developed our own original hearts and existence separate from her. However, we have no true freedom because the cores are still fragments of BB, said Kazur. Sounds like my shadow clone jutsu, but different, and sounds more advanced, thought Naruto with Kurama listening attentively. But who exactly are these alter egos? Besides me, there's Passion Lip, whom you've already met, Melt Lilith, Violet, and King Protea, said Kazur, surprising the blonde about the girl whom he had met before. However, the last 2 were wiped out from the system by BB herself for reasons I myself don't know. Okay, but why is it that you all look like Sakura? I've been wondering about that for a while now. Kazur let out a sigh at the question. That's because BB herself is an offshoot of Sakura herself, an AI born to rebel against the system of the Moon Cell. What? How did that happen? Asked Naruto. Sakura used to be a regular AI within the system. Someone had unleashed a sense of freedom within her, but she could not control that abnormal status and caused an overload. Because the NPCs cannot do anything but routine work, they ignored Sakura, who began to disintegrate as something non-existent, and since the moon cell's check was performed only at the end of the day, Sakura was in a crisis of being extinguished. However, her abnormal status affecting her new sense of self-preservation led to the creation of BB, who then disrupted the system of the moon cell and began an extensive reconstruction and periods of resetting to work towards her goals. What are her goals? Asked Naruto. I don't truly know. Many victors of the tournament came and went whilst having their wishes granted, but also had their memories concerning the tournament wiped out. However, I've noticed that there are changes to the system which is rather unusual of her, and I fear nothing good will come out of it. But I don't get it. I understand that you're an offshoot of BB with a free will, but why are you opposing her and the other alter egos? Because I detest them for that they act on their own longing instead of continuing their original function as the perfect infirmary AI, and I wish to become one with Sakura and be whole once more. Now that you mention it, Sakura doesn't seem to know BB all that much and is rather afraid of her, said Naruto thoughtfully. That is because parts of her core are fragmented, with BB possessing the missing parts. Recovering the pieces will help restore Sakura to her default state. However, BB is instinctively aware and would have deleted her, but the saving grace is that none of us are capable of harming her, as it would lead to our non-existence, said Kazur. That's some good news at least. So how exactly are we to do it? You're to reach the core of the moon cell, which is at the very bottom of the Sakura labyrinth. There is where the victor would make a wish. You need to continue winning the rounds in order to reach it, but beware that BB might try to stop you, as she might be aware of you suspecting her by sending the alter egos upon you. We're in deep on this, just like with your past missions back in your home dimension, Kurama mused. The way you said it sounds like they're pretty strong, but just how strong are they? During our creation, BB brought us into existence as beings with composite divinity formed from several goddesses, leading to us possessing powers and abilities that could overwhelm any kind of opposition, Kazur explained. Oh boy, looks I got my work cut out for me. Naruto rubbed the back of his head nervously. However, they're not without exploitable weaknesses. Being an alter ego enables me to be aware of their weak points, which I can inform you of. Use this to counter their main ability. Kazur held out a palm to summon what appears to be a small blue diamond with matrices of numbers swirling within it. Supposing I do this, what will happen to me and the others after all this? Asked Naruto, still not fully trusting the girl. I can understand your reason of disbelief, but know that I spoke the absolute truth in the hopes that you could help Sakura and I become what we're truly meant to be. Naruto looked into her eyes for any signs of deception and isn't finding any. He was silent for a few moments before letting out a sigh and speaking. I'll trust you on this for now, but if I find out that you were deceiving me, I'll definitely blow you away. Understood. I hope that you see that I am telling nothing but the truth. Kazur held out the diamond once, and this time Naruto took it, albeit reluctantly, before getting up from his seat and began making his way back out of the tunnel to return to the dormitory to rest and recharge the battle chips for the forthcoming round. He was almost at the tunnel when he had Kazur call out to him. Please exercise caution, as the moon cell would attempt to do you harm, as it has outed you as an anomaly. Heh, story of my life, but I'll find a way to get through like I always do, Naruto responded before entering the tunnel, disappearing from the girl's sight. Naruto had returned to the dormitory and was laying on his bed to recover while having a discussion with Kurama over what they had learned from Kazur, along with the memories received from the shadow clone whom he had sent to scout the ruins for clues, and had found a notebook which contained information concerning the moon cell. The moon cell is, in a manner of speaking, an eye that observes the earth. A processor that faithfully simulates all life on Earth and is capable of providing a definite prediction of the future. A database of humanity. A massive memory recording their habits, history, ideas, even their souls. A Pandora's box that promises the next stage of evolution, promises godlike power to those intelligent life forms who have become technologically advanced enough to scan the interior of the moon. Originally it was an observation device left behind by an alien civilization. It had only recorded the nature of life on Earth, but after many years it came to possess its current abilities. Though an observation device initially, it could not leave anything unseen in its observations. An observation device must be fair. If it is to observe, there must be nothing unseen. Thus, it required capabilities for knowing everything about the Earth. To record all things without bias, it needed performance greater than that of an observation device. And so, it had made a giant leap in evolution. It had enhanced its functions to the point where it went from making observations to surveillance, even understanding the workings of the planet. The greater its enhancements, the more complicated its administration policy. It created many terminals and even made artificial intelligences to manage functions for each section. However, it firmly refused to install an artificial intelligence for itself. The observer must not have a mind. For the observer to have a mind would result in the meaning of things being decided by the observer. Thus, it kept to maintaining its absolute objectivity as an I, doing so while always dismantling the emerging semblances of sapience that it had incorporated to administrate its functions. Thus, this computer has no CNCPTN of good and evil, no longing for the future, not even an outcome. What do you think about all this? Asked Naruto thoughtfully. I'm rather relieved that such a machine does not exist in our world. It falling into the hands of people similar to the Akatsuki would have led to the destruction of the world sooner than one could blink, said Kurama with a frown. Me too, how do you think we should go about this? To be truthful, I don't really know for sure, but what I do know is that we're better off not making any wishes whatsoever to the moon cell. But then what should we do? Be careful as always and try to find out more along the way as we draw close to the finals of the tourney. Naruto sat on the edge of the bed with a thoughtful look. I guess you have a point there, we've gotten this far so we might as well go all the way in this. He projected a holoscreen to check on his stats and gears in the meantime. So far the competitors left are me, Tamamo-chan, Archer and Gilgamesh. Merely looking at the last two tells me that I'm in for a tough time when I go up against either of them, especially since I don't know anything about their skills and techniques besides what Lancer told me about them. I know, but that hasn't stopped you either when you fought opponents who were stronger than you but still came out victorious in the end. Some of those which I had to use some of your chakra to do so, and I get the feeling that I'm going to need a lot of your help on this. Naruto closed the holoscreen and stood up to stretch a bit. Hey boss, we got a notification from BB about the next round, said Naruto. Okay, I'm heading to the meeting spot right now. Just make sure that all of the battle chips are recharged beforehand, said Naruto. Roger that. Naruto left the room after being wished good luck by Alice and Shiori. He was walking down the hallway and was contemplating on how the next round is going to be like when he heard someone calling his name and turned round to see that it was Tamamo happily skipping towards him. Hi Maelstrom-kun, I was wondering where you were, said Tamamo with a cheerful smile. Naruto smiled back before responding, I was doing some training in the previous stages to sharpen my battling skills. Well, you could have waited a bit so that I could tag along. We did make a good team after all, said Tamamo with a cute pout, causing Naruto to rub the back of his head sheepishly. Sorry about that, I didn't know you wanted to follow me since I was a bit anticipative now that we're in the semi-finals. The fox girl looked thoughtful at his statement. You have a point there. The remaining contestants besides us are tough as nails according to what I've been hearing, and no doubt that we would be facing either of them. Yeah, but that ain't gonna stop me from aiming for the top, said Naruto with a foxy grin. That's right, I'm definitely going to accomplish my mission too. The duo smiled at each other as they arrived at the entrance of the Sakura Labyrinth where they saw Archer already there. The red net Navi simply glanced at them before looking away without saying a word, causing them to sweat drop at the silent treatment as Kuro appeared via a holoscreen with a sheepish look on her face. Sorry about that, Archer isn't exactly a talkative type, said Kuro, feeling a bit embarrassed at how her net Navi is acting. We can tell as much, said Naruto. It appears that the peons have been waiting to be graced by my presence as expected. They turned towards the voice to see Gilgamesh strutting with the pride of a peacock. I apologize for the lateness as I had to adjust my net Navi's parameters beforehand, said Gil when appearing via a holoscreen. It's okay, we're all here now at least, said Tamamo. In a bright flash of light, BB appeared before them and bowed. I welcome you all to the semi-finals of the tournament and must commend on you all making it this far. You should expect nothing but perfection from the King of Heroes, the rest however only got here by luck which will soon run out, said Gilgamesh arrogantly with everyone glaring at him. Can this guy get any cockier, thought Naruto with a glare. I doubt there's a limit, said Kurama. BB spoke up to catch their attention. In this round, we will be utilizing a one-on-one battle format. The names of the competitors will be shuffled randomly before being placed. She waved a hand to project a large holoscreen which displayed the portraits of the current competitors which began shuffling about quickly before stopping to present the lineups. Maelstrom.EXE vs Archer. Tamamo vs Gilgamesh. So I'll be facing Archer, huh? Naruto glanced to the side to see said person looking at him intently and was a bit intimidated before he looked away. Humph, so I'll be facing a little girl. This won't even count as a scuffle, said Gilgamesh with a scoff. Tamamo glared at the net Navi. I'll get back at you for that little girl comment. Naruto walked up to the fox girl with a look of concern. Please be careful Tamamo-chan, this is the same guy who took out Lancer in the second round. Don't worry, I'm sure I can beat him. Just like I beat Elizabeth, so you don't need to worry so much, said Tamamo confidently, but the ninja was still worried. I can understand your reason for worry, but right now you need to focus on the current matter at hand which is facing your opponent, said Kurama. I guess you're right, might as well get psyched up for the upcoming battle then. Naruto watched as the others walked into the entrance and were warped to new destinations before he too followed after them with BB watching them leave with a smile on her face. Meanwhile, Passion Lip was hiding behind a tree and watching Naruto leave with a look of anxiousness, though she felt a bit uncomfortable with how close the fox girl was next to him. I hope that he makes it back okay, maybe we could talk some more and dash. Suddenly she felt her head beginning to throb painfully, causing her to fall to her knees and attempt to stave it off, but it only grew worse. What's happening to me? I'm feeling so. Her vision began turning into static, then Passion Lip slowly got back to her feet with her eyes appearing glazed as she spoke. Moon cell system override, objective assigned, eliminate anomaly, Maelstrom.EXE. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 4. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author Hussbek on FANFICTIONnet. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.